How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be teaching you a chapter 2 training routine that I'm sure will help a majority of you guys out. In this video, I'm going to show you guys the most effective ways to warm up, improve your aim, builds, and including your game sense. So let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Alright, so here's the whole training routine I've created. Now go ahead, screenshot this, save it, do whatever you need to do, because this is going to be easier than coming back to this video, but I strongly recommend you guys stick throughout the video so you understand exactly how this is going to all work out. You guys might have noticed that I put a star next to aim and game sense simply because these are the two most important skills you should have during a competitive match, and I really want you guys to focus in on this. Warming up is definitely one of the first things you should consider every time you get on. Having at least one warm up a day is definitely going to make your life much easier when you hop into that first game. Now many of you guys may be asking, well, how exactly should I warm up? And the truth is, it doesn't really matter. There is no specifics on how you warm up, but I do recommend you guys do like a warm up course, because usually warm up courses contain everything you need to warm up in. For example, aim, edits, builds. Any warm up course that has those all in one map are great. So if you guys don't have any idea of what warm up map to use, I do have two of them myself that I made recently. I'll put them up on the screen for you guys to use those map codes. The main purpose of a warm up is usually just to warm up your fingers, makes sense obviously. But you should definitely consider changing it up every day. That way it doesn't become too repetitive. So for example, maybe day 1 you'll use my chapter 2 warm up, and day 2 maybe you'll use my random warm up, and day 3 maybe use somebody else's warm up, and then you just keep changing it every day so it doesn't become repetitive. These warm ups only take 10 minutes or less, so there really isn't a reason to not include this into your training routine every day. Moving on to aim, you should definitely consider at least practicing this for 30 minutes per session. Now you do not have to do this every day, at least try to implement this into your training routine about 3 times a week. And when you're working on your aim, you should focus on a majority of the time focusing on things you lack in. For example, if you're bad at tracking, focus more on that, or if you're bad at flicks, focus more on that, and the list goes on. And I'm going to put 2 map codes up on the screen. These are definitely my personal favorite to improve your aim. They'll include a ton of scenarios that you guys will find useful. Now if you're still not quite sure what to practice, then I recommend you guys choose about 5 scenarios and do each one for about 5 or 6 minutes. Just make sure you're not doing too many tracking scenarios or too many flick scenarios. You definitely want to have a good balance of different skill sets. But the absolute best way to improve your aim fast is with another player. Creative just does not have the tools yet to create randomized targets, so it's pretty easy to track them. But with a real player, you can definitely include randomized movement, which is why this is the best way to practice your aim. Now since Season 2 is coming up very soon, I really hope they add in the bots. Even though the bots are not good, they are definitely a good way to practice, and they at least move randomly. Alright, now game sense is definitely something I don't see talked about enough. If you don't really have good game sense, there's a high chance you're not really going to place very well in tournaments. Now I see tons of people who are crazy at mechanics in this game, but they need to focus more on game sense if they want to become competitive. The best way to become a smarter player and get better game sense is definitely by watching replays of your own competitive matches. Learn from your mistakes and what you could have done better. For example, take a look at a clip where you died and try to analyze the whole situation and what you did wrong and what you could have done better. Then apply those tips to the next tournament you play and make sure you don't do those same mistakes. Or another way of doing this is when you're watching streamers, try to think as if you were the one playing. Try to think what the best play would be, and also consider what the opponent might be trying to do. Now if you're watching a top tier pro player and they do exactly what you thought they would do, then you're doing good. But even then, these pro players do sometimes make mistakes, but you can also learn off them as well. My favorite way to improve my game sense is definitely watching VOD reviews, especially from Teadoh or I'm Speedy Gonzalez. These videos go in depth and talk about strategies that pros are using and their thought process during a match. Some VOD reviews can be very long, up to like 1 hour or 2 hours, but you should definitely consider watching them in your free time. I can't tell you guys how many times I learned from these VOD reviews and implemented them into my game, and they actually help a lot. Having good builds and edits is definitely still a good skill to have. You should practice this for at least 20 minutes and 3 times a week, just like the aim. And if you're focused on improving your edits specifically, you should definitely use RAIDER'S edit practice map. I'm sure most of you guys use this, but if you don't, I really recommend it. Now when you're using this map, You should focus on edits that are going to be useful in game, or you can practice things such as the Mongrel Classic, or variations of it, or top corner wall edits, stuff like that are going to be useful. Trying the really hard edits in the map is okay too, because this is going to improve your overall editing speed anyways. Practicing free builds and retakes are also good even if you don't use them in game. It's always good to be improving your mechanics, because you never know what might come in the future. Or you never know, you might even use them in game. Now for the 2 players section of this training routine, it doesn't have to be 2 players, it can be more players if you want. But basically, practicing box fights, zone wars, or 1v1s is definitely going to help you improve in all skill categories. Like aim, edits, builds, it practices everything at once, which is great. Now I'm sure most of you guys already do this for fun, so there's not much I need to say about this. You guys already know I make my videos short and straight to the point, so if you made it to the end of the video, make sure you comment with the flag emoji of where you're from. I'm curious to know. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.